Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill Dement, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
James, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hey, how's it going, James?
It is good. It's a good week. We're recording this just after Father's Day. So I know I had a great Father's Day. Hope you did too.
Yeah, it was swell.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do some things just a little bit different this time. We've got our buddy Tyler Specht in the house. Tyler, welcome.
Hello.
Hey there. And Tyler had a great idea. We've not really had a chance to kind of delve into our personal stories really since episode 1. Now, here we are, episode like 144. So we thought it might be kind of cool for Tyler to kind of act as the host today and interview the two of us to kind of get through our history or story, just so people who are listening, because as we grow, a lot of our franchise owners and candidates, they like to kind of know who that they're going to be working with.
Sure.
Right? And so this kind of an opportunity. So what's going to literally happen is I'm going to walk out the door and then you guys can do a podcast without me.
Well, that means we can talk about James for 20, 30 minutes straight.
It's going to be a long episode.
Don't worry, because I'm coming back next, and then next episode will be me talking about you. So
okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would expect no less.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. So Tyler, you good with this?
I'm good. Get out. I'm muting you right now. You can say no more words. It is now just you and me, Bill.
We can begin to talk about him now.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's let him get out, close the door, and then we'll start it.
I'm sure I can wait that long.
Yeah. So I've known you a couple of years now, Bill.
Yep.
I don't see you as frequently as I would like to. You're, off working and all that. But I've gotten bits and pieces of your history, your story. I know kind of how Hole in the Wall started before Hole in the Wall was a thing.
Right.
But I want to know all of it, right? So take me back to even just inception before you started Dement Paint, which then transformed into Hole in the Wall later on. What was that journey like? Day before you started the business, the first business, was it your first business ever? What was that?
Well, I was kind of at loose ends back in the 1980s, and I just needed a job. And I had a friend who worked for a pretty good sized painting company there in Oklahoma City, which is where I was living at the time. And he says, they're looking for help. You want to do that? And I did. I liked the work. I worked for probably, a year for him. And then I decided I'm going to go back to college. So then I would go and work in the summer times. I would go at, because the college I went to was hundreds of miles away from Oklahoma City, but I had somewhere to stay there, had some family there, had some friends. And so I'd go in the summertime and work there, and over the spring break and, the Christmas break. And so I stayed connected. And that's kind of how I got into painting to begin with. So the friend that kind of introduced me to that, he would do side jobs, and he kind of had his own little painting company. And then he needed help once in a while, and he and I were pretty good friends. So after we'd finish a day's work, I'd go with him for a couple of hours and help him, on an exterior paint he was wrapping up or whatever. It was interesting. It was fun to do, and that's kind of how I got into it.
Do you remember the moment where you kind of thought, well, hey, I'm doing this for this other guy. I'm doing side projects on our own. We're kind of running the ship when we're doing the side projects. What if I just started doing this?
I guess I didn't really have that mindset specifically. I was going to school. I was working on a degree in aviation, which I did get, and I had a minor in business administration. So I wasn't thinking I was going to be staying in the trades long term. That really wasn't what I had in mind. It's the way it worked out, and I'm happy for it. But I remember when I got out of school, it was pretty tough to find the next job, Plus I was out of money. I need to earn money.
Mm-hmm.
And this friend, his name was Jesus Padilla. He was from Ensenada, Mexico, and he's been in Oklahoma City for 40 years. But he said, why don't you just contract? He goes, I know you want to do something else, but you can just start contracting. I'm like, well, I'm not really sure. I was a really good painter, and we patched drywall and did things, and I was pretty good at it, but I didn't know how to contract. I didn't know. And he said, I'll tell you what, get a couple of jobs to bid on and just go to the person's house, measure things up, make notes on a yellow pad, and let them know you're going to get a quote to them in a day or two. Come home, call me. I'll work through the process with you. We'll get a quote ready. And that's how I started. And I almost fell over. I never forget. Now you're talking about a moment, an aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably working for $8 or $10 an hour at that time. Now this is, 35 years ago. But we scheduled this first job. It was a lady lived in the community, and she had popcorn ceilings, and she just wanted to get them painted. And my friend says, well, I'm going to bring my nephew. We're going to come down. We'll do the job on a Saturday. We're just to kick you off and get you going. He goes, we're just coming down to help. We lived about 100 miles from Oklahoma City at that time. They came down, and I had bid this lady to paint her ceilings $700. And we completed the job in a day. And I think I had maybe $100 in materials, and I couldn't believe it. Mind you, I was working for $8, $10 an hour. I'm like, I just did $700 in one day. It was so just registered that. Okay. So
Yeah. In a normal day, you're making $80, $90 max from working for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another experience I remember up in Oklahoma City one time, we went to, after work, I went with Jesus over to one of his other jobs he was doing. The lady had some holes in her bathroom wall he was going to repair. I think that was really the very first time I saw somebody do drywall repair like that. So we went probably, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyway, went over there in an hour and a half. We repaired these holes in her bathroom, and he billed her like $250. I'm like, I felt like we just ripped this lady off, man.
Yep.
It's just a different mindset because you're used to working for this small hourly amount. And I think that really, those experiences really opened up my understanding and my vision for, okay, you can make some money contracting.
Yeah. And when I think about working for someone versus working for yourself, obviously there's a million other expenses you have to go through, and that's what cooks into the higher dollar amount. But the capability to unlock the number, you can only work so many hours in a week, right?
Right.
But once you have the ability to go out and quote different jobs, work on bigger jobs, work with other people, contract things out if you need to.
Right.
It unlocks the ability to say, hey, I don't have to make $80,000, $90,000 this year. I could bring that number up to whatever I can physically go out and create for myself.
Mm-hmm. No, true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So what brought you from outside Oklahoma City down to Florida?
So I had a sister, lived in Orlando for many years, and she was getting married. And of course, we as family wanted to come to the wedding. I came and met a good friend of hers who was single, as was I. And she was born and raised in Mount Dora. She worked for the Disney World Corporation when we met, and we hit it off pretty good. And then I went right back to Oklahoma and kept painting and bought a couple of houses and, started buying real estate at that time. And a year and a half later, we were getting married, and that was kind of the big decision, who was going to move. She was in the middle of working on a master's program at that time at University of Central Florida and working full-time at Disney World. And I had a life going in Oklahoma. We had a good business. We were contracting. When we weren't contracting, we'd buy a house. If there wasn't a job today, then we'd go work on the house we bought. It was a pretty good gig. But at some point, I recognized one of us was going to have to move if we were going to, make a permanent relationship of this thing. And we just didn't know. And I think we were both open to kind of moving if it came to that. And then I remember every year there was a Yellow Pages advertising executive that would call, and I knew him because I've been advertising for several years. And he called to say, it's, let's talk about re-upping for next year. You need to get a good ad, blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you, Tyler, it was almost in that instant I said, I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think I'm going to be here next year.
That's so good.
It was almost a moment of revelation going. And frankly, I'd been to Florida several times now, figured out I could wear my shorts in February. I'm like,
not a bad deal.
Yeah. For the first couple of years I was here, I was like, I can't believe everybody doesn't live here. This is so good.
So for you got a wife and you got to rock in flip-flops and shorts, and that's not a bad pot to get.
It's so true. It's so true. So then I came to Florida, opened up my painting business. And this is the same thing that we tell our franchisees when we train them. I started from my inner circle. I attended a church, so people there who knew me would give me work. My wife worked at Walt Disney World. They have 18,000 employees or something like that, some obscene number, maybe probably more than that. I don't even know. But she had a lot of contacts and friends there, and I did a lot of work for people from Walt Disney World, and that's how my business got going. At that time, I didn't know about BNI. I wasn't doing a lot of social stuff other than just, going to church, really.
Yeah.
So,
And at that time, were you doing any other sorts of, like you mentioned the Yellow Pages back where you were before? Did you pick that right up off here as well, or?
I did.
Okay.
I jumped right into the Yellow Pages here, and that was kind of 1995 when I first got to Florida. So the internet was now beginning to take off. Pretty short order, we figured out that we could advertise online. I met a gentleman who was doing our SEO. Alan Monroe was his name. And I worked with him for several years. He took care of all that stuff for us. Had a simple business. It was cement painting and drywall repair. We'd always done drywall repair, but there was a recognition that there was a little something there even really early on.
I always get so interested when someone's first starting out. There's so many ways you can generate the business inward. And a lot of times people just kind of oversimplify it to just go network, go find, just talk to people, go sell. And it's such an easier thing to say than to actually do. To see you leverage the church community, the Walt Disney World community. I'm sure you're talking to anyone and everyone you can about what you're doing.
Well, actually, I was talking to one of our employees today about a problem that we had internally in the company. And they're asking, well, what do we do? And I go, well, here's the best advice I've got. Okay. There's a story in the Bible about this guy. He's just working in a field and he gets set upon by these bunch of guys. Okay. And he picks up the jawbone of an ass, I think is the story. And he just kills a bunch of them. And so the sort of the takeaway is start from where you are, use what you have, and do what you can.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that's, everybody, if they stop at any point in life, any day of their life, and they just stop and look around, you have assets, you have something. And then you assess what you have. If you have a ambition to have a direction to go somewhere, you start from where you are, use what you have, and begin moving in that direction. Actually, as we're cleaning out an office at my house the last couple of days, and there's this envelope from Walt Disney World. It's an interdepartmental envelope. And I open it up and it has about 15 business cards on it. So Mary had told her friends at Disney that her husband needs a business card. And somebody took this thing and they made notes all over everything. And you could see where it was sent interdepartmentally at Walt Disney World. Wow. But that's the connection I had. So I tried to use that.
Of course. If she was working at Universal, it'd be the same story, but
exactly,
Universal.
Right? Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And I want to get more into the use what you have, because that's a big mentality I've seen between you and James of you, in my mind at least, and feel free to correct me and say that's a weird thing you have there, Tyler. But in my mind, you are big picture. You are the one looking 5 years ahead and saying, how do we get there? What does it look like if? That's a big quote I have from you.
It's true.
Yeah, if I had to put you to one quote, it would be, what does it look like if,
what do you suppose happens when?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, it's true.
I want to get more into that as we get to that portion of it. So you are now in Florida, you're freshly married, and you're networking, you're advertising in the Yellow Pages. Sort
of networking. I wasn't actively thinking I need to go network. I wasn't joining groups or anything.
Yeah.
I was looking around immediately to buy houses because I like flipping houses. We've done that. I had the skills for it. My partner in Oklahoma was a carpenter. I learned carpentry. I'm not an expert carpenter by any means, but I could hang a door and change a window and level floors. And, had an understanding of how things work. So we'd started doing that really quick. And again, starting from where you are, well, when I got to Florida, my wife had a 1-bedroom apartment and had another 6 or 8 months on the lease. Never have been a fan of apartments. Don't like living in apartments. It was what it was. And I'd taken a temporary job with another painter, a guy out of Winter Park, and he was doing a large 40,000 square foot house in Lake Nona. And so something happened. I was waiting on a ride to work. My truck was in the shop. I was waiting on a ride to work, and ride didn't show up. And I remember it was kind of a rainy afternoon, and my wife and I, because I'm already into houses. I'm going, how come you don't own a house? Why don't you, you know? And so I walked down the store. Obviously, it's going to be a day off.
Yep.
I walked down to the store. I got a newspaper, and I began to look around in the newspaper for some houses to find a deal. And we were looking kind of over in the Conway area because we had family. My sister lived over that way. It's where our church was, and our friend group was kind of in Conway and Belle Isle area, which is, 20 or 30 minutes away from the Walt Disney World area, which is sort of where my wife lived out on that side of town. And I looked in the paper in the Conway area, nothing. And I thought, well, just for giggles, let me look over here by Disney and see if there's anything out this way. I'm looking. I see an ad that says Conway Fixer Upper. I'm like, how many people saw that because it was listed in the wrong column in the paper? So I called the guys. They said, yeah, come on out and look at it. We looked at a house in Conway built in 1958. This guy had been raised in the house. Both his parents were Air Force. They raised 5 kids in that house. I mean, and it needed one of everything, But the neighborhood at that time was selling for $75,000, $80,000. Again, 1996 maybe. And he offered it to us for $44,000. I'm like, wow. Tyler, I didn't even have the nerve, and I love to negotiate like nobody else. I didn't even have the nerve to say anything to him other than, okay, we just want to tell you, we want the house. Do you want a deposit or something? He goes, nah, go get your loan ready. I'll hold it for you. And whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Wow.
Do you believe that?
Wow. That would never happen today.
It just, but I started where I was, used what I had, and did what I could. That house was so inexpensive. The lender made us put an air conditioner in it. My wife had her car paid off. We went and borrowed, I don't know what it was, $2,500 on her car. We put air conditioning in the property, never had it. And then we just started slowly fixing it up. I didn't have work for a few days. I drained the pool. Got slow again, a couple of weeks out. I started chipping all the marcite off the pool by hand. I wasn't paying anybody to do this stuff. No, it was good. I set up tarps over the pool, and it kept the rain out. It kept it cool. And anytime I had time, I was just chipping that marcite off, and it'd come off. There's about an inch and a half thick. And time I got it all off, the cement looked so nice and smooth. And I started checking around. I found a pool paint. I put that on there. I fixed the light. There was a couple other little things we fixed up on it. And then one day my wife left for work, and I started filling the pool up. And I filled it up. And it just looked white, the water. And it got to this certain level, and it just turned blue.
Wow.
It was just great. And we had so much fun. But that's what we were doing. That's what I did with that house. And then in between, I would be painting. And then I would paint, kept the painting business going, and then always trolling, and bought, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 different houses that we flipped through the years, because I was always excited about it. Anything I'm in, I'm usually excited about.
Yep.
I had no trouble attracting money partners. So a lot of people had money. They want to do it. They don't have the expertise. They don't have the temperament to go negotiate. They don't want to go find deals. I found all that stuff fun. I love breaking into houses, crawling through a window, looking around, tracking down the owner. I like that stuff.
Yeah. And you're, again, using what you have at the time. You're using the knowledge you've gained by doing the carpentry, by doing everything on that end, and finding the pieces you don't have to supplement what you don't have.
So we stayed in that house. You didn't know this was going to be a real estate show, did you?
Oh, that's okay.
We stayed in that house. We bought it in 1996, and we stayed till 2003 when our third child was arriving, and it was just starting to get too small. Mm-hmm. So we rented it for a couple of years. Now, mind you, we paid $44,000 for the house. I think by the time we did all of our repairs on it, we probably were at $70,000. Okay. When we sold it, we owed $20,000 on it. And the market had gone up so much that by 2003 or 4, we sold it for $253,000.
Wow.
So, and it was all tax free.
Wow.
You don't even pay taxes on that. Then there was somebody we knew. They had a pretty nice house in Belle Isle, 2,200 square feet, had been built originally in 1963, had central heat and air, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, terrazzo floors, beautiful front yard, nice big backyard. Originally built for a gentleman named Dr. Stewart. He was the original owner. And then at one time, the mayor of Belle Isle had owned the property. So, it was nice property.
History. Yeah.
And this person, a family we knew that owned it, they just, it just, again, it was one of those houses that needed one of everything. And they offered it to us I think we paid $115,000 for it.
Okay.
So, and they're, now, of course, 25 years later, they're selling for well over $500,000 in that neighborhood.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's where my interest was. I could see that's interesting. It's a simple process that I understood. The complication is taking a little bit of time to understand how a real estate transaction works, understanding how to speak to a banker to get money. I actually had a banker one time at AmSouth. She says, "Where are you getting all the money to buy these houses?" And because I would just sit and talk to her. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Well, I just borrow from here and there and whatever." And she goes, "We want to be your lender." I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "We wanted to make portfolio loans, and we want to be your lender on these." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, you want to give me money? Sure.
So they were my lender for the next, I don't know how many homes I bought. And then we were buying and flipping till about 2004. We just buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. And the values on properties were going up so fast. We're like, we probably just need to learn how to landlord and hold some of these. And that's what I had several partners at that time. And that's what we did.
Okay. So now you're still painting through all of this. You still have your painting business going.
Had painting going. Right.
Okay. So,
and we were rolling. I mean, it was real estate was cooking. I'm telling you, Tyler, all the way through 2008. And I know you were pretty young at that age, but I'm telling you, it's one of those watershed events in your life if you were in business during that time, because suddenly the phone stopped ringing.
Okay.
It just stopped. My tenants didn't have work. They couldn't pay the rent. This is funny because I'm thinking about these stories I've thought about a long time, and to the point where we got behind with the banks. But it wasn't because of our misdeeds or our bad intentions or bad actions. It was because the floor dropped out from under everybody.
Yeah. You're not unique in this. It's a universal thing going on.
Listen, I can remember one January, we did $1,100 worth of work for the entire month. And I split it with my friend Fidel, my carpenter I worked with, Fidel Vera, for a long time. I still do, actually. I called him the other day about a job. And I split that with him because he was starving too.
Yeah.
It was just that. And then the banks started calling. Oh my gosh. To the point where I'm like, okay, this is the deal. Okay. It was Wells Fargo, and they call you every day. They just press you.
I'm sure their entire loan writing department turned into collections around that time too. They're not giving more out.
I told them, I want you to tell Wells, and make sure to tell Fargo too, that I'm going to talk to you once a week about this, because there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm willing to keep you abreast of what's going on this end. But if you call me more than once a week, all you're going to get is a dial tone.
Yep.
So do your worst. This is what it's going to be. And they'd try to call, and once in a while I'd pick up and I go, I already talked to you once this week, so I'll talk to you again on Monday next week. Have a great week.
Click.
So, but what else could you do? There's nothing more I can tell you today that I can't, you know what I mean? So when we have tough times around here, I tell them all, I said, listen, in 2008, I stared the bear right in the mouth. My wife wasn't working. I had 4 small kids at home. Tyler, I remember leaving the house, and my sons reminded me of this on Father's Day the other day. That I hadn't told the story in a long time, but there was a day I didn't have anything. I think I had $20, and I left the house to go do my job that day. I put $10 worth of gas in my truck to get there. I had to buy $7 worth of materials to finish the job. I don't know if it was a quarter paint or whatever it was I needed. And I bought $2 chicken sandwiches at McDonald's for lunch. That's how close it was.
Did you know that there are over 140 million homes in the U.S.? 97% of them have walls and ceilings that are built using drywall. The drywall repair industry is simply enormous, valued at over $13 billion a year. We're Hole-in-the-Wall Drywall Repair, and for years we have been perfecting the art of repairing drywall. developing and refining our systems, and strengthening our brand. Our business model is simple, scalable, and easy to learn. We believe it's a real game changer. We are successful drywall repair pros who decided to take our repair business to a higher level, growing both our franchise training and support to industry-leading standards. You'll benefit from our vast experience helping your franchise hit the ground running and achieve success quickly. We'll give you access to our marketing team that has created strategic programs designed to get your phone ringing and booking new business fast. Join a fast-growing leader in an exciting dynamic segment of the home service industry by franchising with Wall Drywall Repair. Start building your own business and securing your own financial future today.
I finished the job that day and I got paid. It was $300 or $400. And then, we're just off and going again.
Rinse
But I
and
mean,
repeat.
you just rinse and repeat. Yeah. And so once there's something about enduring and overcoming those kinds of experiences that really does put a steel rod in your spine.
Yeah.
I saw how bad it can get. I saw how desperate, and you know what? I survived it.
Yeah, you got through it.
Oh, Tyler, man, I'm telling you, there were days, I swear, you talk about oppressive weight when I was praying in the morning, God, just help me to get up and get my clothes on.
Yeah.
Help me to just get out the door and get to this job. And then I'm at the job praying, God, just help me get to lunch. Just help me hold it all together till lunchtime. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah, because in that time, you're doing literally everything you can, but you cannot change the market. You cannot change the economy on your own, right?
no, couldn't.
So through all of that, you have the bottlenecks of the world, the market, everything's
Mhm.
changing. Through the years, things shifted. You're coming out the tail end of that, of the everyday getting up and pushing through the day, doing what you
Yeah.
have to do. You come out the tail end of that, and I'm sure it's not a hard cut. Here's the new market. Here's the new world. It never is. Talk to me a little bit about what the process of coming out of that was like, what the indicators you saw.
So the thing is, the real estate was rolling so well that I had all but shut down contracting and painting.
Okay.
Okay. Because we could be looking for a house at the same time we were working on a house, getting ready to sell it, and the third house being sold. So there was just like this, carousel of houses. One is being bought, one's being done, and one's being sold all the time.
Yeah, you built your machine.
But when 2008 hit, the bank stopped lending. There just was no churn in the market. Nobody was buying houses unless you had cash and you could go out and buy really cheap. So a couple of things happened. There was a friend of mine who had worked for me. I trained him as a painter, and then after 4 or 5 years, he'd started his own painting company. And here I sat, just help me get one foot in front. It was in that phase. And he called me. He says, I got a job. It's up on the Wekiva River, but these guys want to have some drywall put in a bathroom. It's a couple of teachers. They were the nicest people. I went and did that job, and it took me 4 or 5 days to install and finish. But it was beautiful. They were right on the river. I mean, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And we've done work for them several times since. But the fact that he sent me that job and I had access to make some revenue, okay, it was a real lift. So at the same time, there was a lady by the name of Sherry Brown, who I've been real estate partners. I jokingly call her my real estate wife because she loves real estate. I love real estate. My wife couldn't care less. Her husband couldn't care less. And she and I have bought and owned properties forever. Well, she called me. She says, I found a duplex over here by Florida Hospital East. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, they only want $135,000 for it. I go, wow, that is pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm shell shocked. Okay.
Yeah, that hasn't happened in how long at this point?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, how are we going to do this? She says, I'll tell you what. She says, I got the cash. I'm going to pay for it. And I'm just going to loan you. I'm going to pay cash for my half and loan you your half.
Okay.
And then it took me, I was going to spend a month just getting one of the houses ready because one of the guys who lived in there had owned it. The guy we bought it from, heavy smoker.
Ooh.
And there was a good bit of work to do. We had to repair some stuff. We paid me. So I had a month's worth of work. She financed the entire thing for me. We still own this property, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is worth probably close to $600,000 at this point. Wow. But even though I didn't have money to put in on deals like that, I had character and I had abilities. And so I started from where I was, used what I had, and then built it in something. Okay.
Yeah. The theme doesn't go away ever, really, does it?
No. And honestly, because these properties now, there's several of those properties, they've been paid off for years. So when I go, well, we need a little money for, I don't know, franchising. All right, let me talk to the banker. What does it look like to go? I'm conservative. What if I just want to borrow 50% of this $600,000 property? Yeah, no problem. Let me know when you're ready to go.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's kind of what that has been. But one thing the 2008 experience taught me, because I had quit painting and working and contracting, not literally, if the market had continued one more year, I was over the top. I was done.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like cashing in my chips and done.
Okay.
But it didn't. So I started rebuilding. Gosh, let me think what happened next. So I began contracting, fired the business back up. And now I'm getting busy. I had a good reputation. As soon as people knew I was back in business, I got busy pretty quick. Scott Plemons still works for us. One of the first guys I hired. This must have been about 2009, maybe 2010. And that's where the hole in the wall story begins to pick up. One spring, I had about half a dozen calls from these kids over at UCF that had beat holes in their walls back in January, New Year's party.
Oh.
And they're going to lose their deposit in May because the semester's over and they're all moving.
Yep.
So we were able to go in and do the repairs for them for a couple of $100, or on a simple repair, $100, $150. Well, that saved them a $400 or $500 deposit.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, do you like this? And I think there was one or two other guys who worked for me at the time, but I remember asking Scott specifically, do you like doing drywall repair work? Do you like this at all? And he's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's fun. And the other guys said, yeah, we like it too. And our per hour was terrific. I mean, we were making $100 an hour doing it.
Yeah.
Which paid significantly more than painting someone's home. So that's where the idea came, again, and I remember even at the same time going on, I'm telling my wife, I feel like, I felt like the weight of the world was on me.
Yeah.
Because I had multiple properties. Some of them wound up going back to the bank. I mean, there was nothing you could do about it. And I remember telling my wife, I feel like that cartoon character that's just stuck under the manhole cover, it's just mashing me. And I said, Mary, I just need somebody to lift the edge of that just a little bit so I can slip out. I've got the energy to go. I've got the vision to go do something else. I said to her, and she hadn't worked since our first child was born. She quit Disney then. I said, I need some help. That's what I told her. And I'm not kidding you. It wasn't 15 minutes later, she found a job.
Wow.
And then she started working as a classroom helper with autistic kids. She has a master's degree. And then within just a couple of years, she had her teaching certificate and she started teaching school full time. Well, there was the help I needed.
Yeah.
And so I went to this friend, Alan Monroe, and he says, okay, time to re-up. I have these epiphanies apparently when I talk to, advertising people, marketing guys. And he says, what do you want to do for your ad next year? I go, forget that. What do you think about this idea? What do you suppose it looks like if a guy just has a company that's only doing drywall repair, not installation, not warehouses, not homes, just repairing drywall? He's like, wow, that's interesting. He goes, I like that idea. He says, I even got the name for you. You could call it the Hole in the Wall Gang. I'm like, that's pretty good. I don't like gang, but I like Hole in the Wall. And that's where all that came from. By that time I was because now I'm more serious about it. I'm back in business, and I've just experienced a big fall, so I'm trying harder.
Yep.
I was in the South Orlando Business Exchange, great group of people, small business people. And we used to meet once a week. And there was a guy in the group, Alan Dominy. He says, I know a kid goes to church with me. He says goes to UCF. He's a graphic design guy, but he also does websites.
Okay.
Drew, gosh, I can't remember his name, but anyway, he is so wildly successful now. He won't even answer a phone call from me at this point. Not that I need it, but Drew, if you're listening, thank you so much for what you did for us. But I had 4 kids. Some of them were playing ball. They were involved. I mean, they were elementary and, starting middle school by that point. I have 4 real estate partners. I had 12 renters at that point, and I was kind of the nexus for all that. I was like the crossroads where all that met. And the only time I had to meet, I was involved in my church. So the only time I had to meet with Drew was on Thursday nights, and he used to come to the house for about 6 weeks, like from 7 p.m. And we'd try to wrap it up by 10, but I put a pot of coffee on. I had an office at my home, still do. I was working in it this morning, and Drew would come by and we would hash out ideas to get the website going. And I could see it was coming along. He offered me, like about 4 weeks in, he showed up with the Hole in the Wall logo, which we still use. He gave me like 3 or 4 different, I think it was 3 different color combinations. My only instructions to him were something modern, something timeless, something that isn't going to look, in the 90s, they painted a bunch of cars purple. And that was so hot. Everybody loved it. Only by 2000, nobody wanted a purple car anymore. So I didn't want something that was going to look old quickly.
Yeah.
So he showed up and he had that for me. And then within a couple of weeks, we had the website done. I recall that I went to Metro PCS because it was already, I'm not really sophisticated at this, but I have an understanding I need to be able to track the numbers separate from my painting company.
Yep.
So I went to Metro PCS. I got a burner phone with the phone number, which we still use at Hole in the Wall now. It's our main phone number.
Wow.
And I carried 2 phones. And then we started doing SEO and some advertising, whatever, for Hole in the Wall, Google AdWords, and some basic things like that. I tracked the numbers. We did $40,000 that first year out with nothing. I mean, we just had nothing. We had a website and a logo, and I was driving a green 1995 Ford F-150. You know what I mean?
Which you still have in the
Still
family?
have. Well, my son still, and my wife bought one. I don't know if you know that. She bought one identical to it because my son will never give that one up now.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know
I
that.
thought he'd be tired of it and give it back to me. We actually have a pact on that truck that we can't sell it to anyone outside the family. So if one of the other brothers or mom or I want it back, we can, or he can keep it, but you can't just sell it to somebody else.
Can't get rid of it. Stay in the bloodline.
No,
Yeah,
but my
love
wife
it.
got tired of waiting. And last year, my son sent us a link to Facebook, and the truck was identical to his, 1 year model off, and a couple of small variations. But she's like, nope, that's close enough. So now she has one.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool.
It's a fun story. So I tracked the numbers pretty close. We kept the painting business open, kept doing that. I learned my lesson. Don't shut down your bread and butter. And then we did like $40,000 that first year out with Hole in the Wall. And then we doubled it year 2. We did 80, and then we doubled it again by year 3, 160. And then by year 4, I did 320. I doubled it like the first 4 years. It just kept doubling.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, we are really on to something. And I wasn't being all that sophisticated. I was still working out of the old green truck. I still had 3 or 4 guys working for me. They were driving their own vehicles. We were officing out of my house, and we were doing just basic stuff. One of the things I really caught hold of early was you need good reviews. Alan Monroe was really big on that, my SEO guy. And we made sure that we got reviews, and we built our reviews up pretty good because I kept watching them grow from 30 to 50 to 80. And it occurred to me one day, as soon as I get to 100, I will have officially buried my competition in Orlando, which turned out to be true. So by that time, wow, it was pretty busy.
And during this time, are you owner operator? Are you still in the field significantly? Have you stepped away from that?
Yeah, by necessity, I'd had to pull back because somebody's got to answer the phone. And I was dispatching work. I was estimating work. So I would, get my crews out in the morning. And then once they're on the road, of course, I have the phone with me.
Yep.
I'd go do the estimates. And a lot of it, again, one of the things we figured out early on was because you're only patching, you can do a lot of the sales on the phone. Send me a photo. And because, and the lady would say, well, you don't want to come look at it? I'm going, I've seen about 10,000 holes, and I just need to know what size it is. I mean, I was obviously not that crude.
Of course.
But I only need to know what size it is, where it's located, and if you want it painted.
Yeah.
That's essentially it. Can I access it? Is there a bunch of stuff in the way?
Yeah.
Some basic facts, and we would we were able to quote a lot of repairs like that, which we've really refined now to the point where 75% of the jobs we do are sold over the phone through our front office here at Hole in the Wall now.
Yeah. The time saver that has in it alone.
But it was growing. And anytime you have a growing business, there's, you're facing new challenges. So there was a friend I knew in town, Dan Myers. He's a CPA, but just loved business. And he, great guy, just a really great guy. I used to buy him breakfast on Friday mornings. And I mean, I used to be I realized I used to be way more active than I am. I was really a busy guy, but I used to take him to breakfast and we'd talk about the problems of the business or the challenges of growth or, whatever. Here's the things we're facing. And he was a listening ear, but he also would offer, common sense answers and solutions to problems that I was facing on a daily basis. And then so, gosh, I don't know, that'd been going on for year and a half. He said to me one day, he says, I've got a guy. First of all, I go, I need somebody to help in the office. I need some help. So he introduced me. He says, I think I got somebody for you. Gigi, whom you met. She's still here. I think she's going on 15 years with us now. But she came in and she immediately began to answer the phone. She was another adult in the room. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She was hired her as a bookkeeper, and she was so much more than that. Bookkeeper, accounts receivable, accounts payable, answered the phone, did scheduling. I mean, and that freed me to kind of watch the crews a little more and do more job site visits and more estimating.
Yeah.
But Tyler, it had just gotten so big by 2014, and we'd just kind of been beta testing this whole idea. But by the time we got to $320,000 in a year, I'm like, okay, I think we're really onto something here. So just a few months after Dan introduced me to Gigi, and I hired her, of course, because I'd have been a fool not to.
Yes.
He says, okay, this other guy I want you to meet. I go, okay. He goes, he's in the entertainment industry. I'm like, oh, he sounds like a good fit. I'm just thinking to myself. He says, no, he's just really burnt out. He's a very capable guy. He says, I think you guys like each other. I think you got a lot in common. He goes, I know your dad's a pastor. His dad is a missionary. I mean, like there's this overlap.
Yeah.
And so the next week he showed up and here's James Gross. And this was probably October or November. James was in between jobs. I think he was actually interviewing to take a couple of more jobs elsewhere, but he really liked the concept. And I was open to having somebody come in and help. I realized that if I have a gift, it's getting out of the way, realizing where the end of my talents and, expertises are, but having faith in somebody else that they can come in and do that. It's like a relay race. My wife explained to me, you have to, I ran the first leg. I got things up. I got things going. But then it was at a point where it was just, it wasn't like I need to check out. I just need to slide over and let somebody else in the captain's seat.
Yeah.
And James was just there, and I handed off the baton to him, and man, he latched on immediately. Like I remember the first couple of days, he's going, okay, what's my crew? I'm like, what do you mean your crew? That's my, there was kind of that. But he took ownership immediately, and man, just see how capable he was. Immediately, he began saying, we need this, we need this, we need this. I'm like, how do you even know we need that? It's not even on my radar that that's a thing, But his perspective was so different because it came from $150 million company where there's a lot of structure, and a lot of politics and a lot of things that you just, as working as a solopreneur, you just don't run into. So he brought a lot of that stuff to the company.
Yeah, a lot of the red tape, but for the best reasons to have it. What did you, at that point, when you said, yes, James, come on, let's get going, let's work together, what did you view him coming in to do? Was it the structure, the operations? Did you already have foresight to see something bigger at that point?
I didn't know. I didn't even know what an operations guy was.
Okay.
So when James showed up and I saw what he was doing, and I finally figured out this is what an operations guy does. He figures out systems. He gets things organized like he does around here. This is just if you cut him, he bleeds organization. He he's just that guy. My vision was I could see hundreds of small guys all around the country, because the insight was there are a lot of guys that are really good technically at doing drywall. They have good customer, skills, soft skills, we would call it, but they don't know about business. They don't know how to run the business. So what does it look like if we could help them to organize behind, okay, well, and then immediately, everybody thinks franchising, and you think McDonald's because they're big and successful and all that, but there's so much to know about it that you just cannot know. I think if you could see the whole picture in the beginning, you would never try it.
Yeah.
Because it seems so daunting. But as you just start from where you are, use what you have and do what you can. And that's what we've done every day. We just kind of get up and just try to push the ball down the field a little bit more. James saw that there was a really good opportunity eventually to franchise, but he could see the gulf, the gap between where we were and what was going to have to be done. And so it took me about a year to really kind of get him up to speed on the drywall stuff, although he was doing quite well on a lot of other things. He was already organizing a lot of systems for our office. And not too many years down the road, we really began to kind of lean into getting ready to franchise. And he understood better than I did what all those things were.
I remember, I'm sure you had things in motion by the time I met you initially. We've known each other, I think, 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah, that seems about right.
And I remember every time I spoke to you, and we were probably interacting more at the beginning there.
Okay.
And you always had a new book in hand. You always had a new nugget of information surrounding the franchise side. And every time I talked to you, I would just listen, ears as wide open, because this is such a world that's foreign to me. I've never I've come from the place of starting my own company and growing it as the solopreneur. There's no franchise thought there right now. So seeing that and seeing what is involved, even just seeing the binders you guys have created, very intimidating, but structured, organized, ready to go.
James, and there were parts that I just sat at my desk at home and wrote for days and days and days and days and days on end to contribute to that book. So everybody had a part in it. And it really is the book of hole in the wall. It's like, here's soup to nuts. Here's what's what.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not just like, from my perspective, it translates. There's so many sections that translate into the business structure, the operational structure. James has taken a portion of that book and it's all now online, nugget size for training employees.
Yes.
All of the pieces that have come together really reflect, at least again, from the outside looking in, reflect your capabilities, James' capabilities, and all the other bits and pieces you've pulled together. And now it's just this master plan of here's hole.
Yeah, and it turns out if you have a sort of a philosophy of doing things at the highest level you can, with high expectations, with an accountability towards doing the best you can with each part of what you're putting together. If that's 25 different little pieces, but you're doing the best you can on each one of those little 25 pieces, and then you reassemble those 25 pieces, you've got a pretty good product. I was able, within the last couple of weeks, we had a group of franchisees here in training, and just sitting through and watching what we've got, I'm like, we really do have a handle on this. We don't, a couple of years ago, we were just in elementary school in franchising, and I don't think we got a PhD now, but I think we're getting ready to graduate to high school here. We have a good understanding. And the other piece of it is, we're sincere, and it's more than just words to say we really want our franchisees to succeed. We understand that these guys that buy a franchise are taking a risk. They're spending tens of thousands of dollars to quit their job to support their family with this idea. And boy, I'll tell you, that'll sober you up, knowing, okay. But at the same time, we have a confidence that if you'll just do it our way, if you just follow the lead, I can see how our business has grown. I can see the money that we make here with our business. I see the opportunities, and I don't see why it won't work in your community if you're applying the same kind of effort.
Yeah, and you've mentioned a few times the business in a box, the key, like here's the key, turn it, you're ready to get going.
Right.
And to me, hearing through your story, and this is the abridged version of it, right? You could speak for hours on everything you've learned and everything you've gone through, and just
maybe.
I know you could, but to me, hearing business in a box, key turn, all of those different terms, whatever you want to call it, and then hearing the story, hearing what you've learned, it really is like there's no shortage of learning through trial, error, getting up, going, having the grit behind you to continue on going. And now someone stepping in from the perspective you have, even at this point, going through all of that of we want to make sure they succeed. To me, it's there. That's been there.
Right.
And then you continue on that growth to make sure they continue to succeed.
Yeah, and a couple of things I would like to say is that we are really open to admitting we don't know everything. We've got something that's working, but it could be a tweak here or there would make it work better. Who wouldn't be interested in that?
Yeah.
And then anything that we learn new, we want to distribute that to our franchisees too, so that they can benefit from that. The channel goes the other way too, because I've seen some of the people that are buying our franchises are just high caliber people. And I just sitting in training and in meetings with them, you go, these are really smart guys, and they are already contributing good ideas that makes the whole franchise enterprise better. I love that.
Yeah. And to have the ability to reflect and say, hey, these people who are buying the franchise right now are high caliber guys. They must be seeing something in us when they're coming in.
It does surprise me sometimes. And I told them, like, these guys are IT guys. I mean, they're smart people, and they want to change, and they want to support their family in a different way. And they think this is it. I mean, that's humbling, man. I think I just shortcut 20 years out of it and went, instead of going the whole white collar route, I just cut to the chase and went straight into the trades and built it from there.
Yeah. And the ability for you to sit here and say that's humbling, I think, is the root of why it works, right? You're not, and there's been a few parts in here I wanted to jump in and be like, that's you not having a massive ego, letting that get in the way. And not,
I do. That's not my,
it's not
whatever
you.
other issues I have, massive ego is not one of them.
It's not you. It's not James. It's not those that surround Hole in the Wall as the brand. From my perspective, it is hey, like you just said, we know some stuff. We know it works well. And if there's something that comes down the line that will work better, let's talk about it. Let's see what that looks like.
Let's do that. And then being open to taking from other people. Listen, Trish Murphy with Marketing Smarty Pants, who does all of our marketing stuff and has for 6 or 7 years now. She came in, we met her. She was on the podcast 1 or 2 times maybe. And she said, Hole in the Wall, that's a brand I want to, you know what I mean? So I want to promote that brand. I want to grow that brand. And we've been so lucky to find people that are buying in. Tyler,
me,
you know, you come in, you office with us, you get the vision. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be lots more work for you here before this is over with.
I love the days I come into the studio and James, hey, come here, come sit down. Like, okay, I'm more than happy. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what that is.
But we've been so fortunate with the people who've kind of come up alongside of us, sort of helping to pull the wagon along, because so much of it we couldn't have done. It was outside of my expertise. It was outside of even James's expertise, some of this stuff. Mike Elliott, I think of, the guy who now runs Orlando for us, just hired as a $12 employee. But he just grew into running the whole thing. And he does it, I dare say, better than we did when we ran it.
What a great guy. Like anytime I can say, he's just such a good dude.
He really is. He is that.
James sends him to the BNI sometimes, and every time it's, I miss James. But Mike, you're here. Hey, how you doing?
Right.
Yeah, no, you guys have an incredible team around it. I'm very fortunate to have latched on and moved in and be here to just even listen to you guys speak. That for me has always been a benefit.
We're blessed to have all you guys. We recognize that. I'm thinking about Sean Lydon. He's really, our sales coach who's really gotten in our corner, and he's in our orbit. And everybody that meets him, he came in to talk to the franchisees last week. And I told him, I'm warning you, don't let the smooth taste fool you. You think he ain't saying anything, and then all of a sudden you realize he just laid it on you, man. And you process what he said. And I can tell you firsthand, we've used what he's taught us, and it's improved us significantly in our sales, in our performance. I'm like, we're really fortunate.
Smart people around, and you're more than welcome, or you're more than open to listen. And yeah, it's incredible. So we've talked about a lot of the history and how you've gotten to here. Let's bookend it. Where are you going?
Well, I don't see an end to the growth on this now that we have it sort of the machine is built and the machine is working and growing, I don't see a reason to alter the general course. We keep selling. We keep helping other people achieve their life goals. I love that. That's the more I do this, the more I go, that's really fulfilling to watch somebody buy it and start to fulfill their life goals and provide for their family in ways they might not have been able to before. I love that.
No, it's incredible.
So, at some point, I'm no spring chicken anymore, but at some point I'm sure there'll be an exit and somebody else will come in, and, it's so fulfilling to know that we've created something that's going to just continue beyond what we've done here. It's like I've got 5 kids now. My 5th one's called Hole in the Wall.
Yep. I love it. I can't wait for the day I get a call that says, Tyler, we got the Hole in the Wall Japan location. Or we got the when it starts
Hole in the Wall Tokyo right here, baby.
Exactly. So I think this was incredibly.
Yeah, thanks. You did a nice job.
I think I didn't talk much, right? Like I maybe got like 2 or 3 minutes in there, but that's what this is for. I see so much of the value you guys can provide by telling other stories, and I want your story. I want James's story. So I'm excited for part 2 to dig in with James, and
it'll be good. I'll have to listen to it when it releases. I'm interested to see what he has to say, but I know a lot of what he has. I certainly don't profess to speak for him. He's a big boy and able to speak for himself. But I know his story is good as well. For sure, I know that he has the heart and the passion and the love for this company like I do. That much I'm sure of.
Yeah, it shows outside of it, definitely. I agree with that. Well, I'm going to go pick his brain next. And
all right. Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Appreciate you running the show today. And been a great show, everybody. So we'll
see you on the episode 2.
See you on episode 2 with James.
We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.